Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Godzilla from 2014. The world is beset by the appearance of monstrous creatures, but one of them may be the only one who can save humanity. So this was directed by Gareth Edwards, who made Monsters before this, and then went on to do Rogue One, Star Wars story. They're the only films he's done, I think, which is a shame, because I loved Rogue One, and I'd love to see Edwards do more. The story for Godzilla was written by Dave Callum, who also wrote Doom, The Expendables, the TV series Jean-Claude Van Johnson, and most recently Wonder Woman 1984. So he wrote the story, but then the screenplay was written by Max Borenstein, who wrote the Minority Report TV series and has gone on to do Kong Skull Island, did the story for Godzilla King of Monsters, and wrote the screenplay for Godzilla vs. Kong, so he's very much in this world. And he also wrote a TV series that I really like, which is called The Terror. There was additional writing, but not credited on this movie as well, by two real heavyweights, Frank Darabont, who of course wrote Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption and The Walking Dead, well adapted those anyway, and also additional writing by David S. Goyer, who I didn't realise wrote Death Warrant back in the day, but of course did Blade, Dark City, Batman Begins, and kind of lots of big comic book movies over the past sort of 20 years. So behind the camera, some real strong talent there, and the same is true in front of the camera on Godzilla. So just some of the cast: we've got Aaron Taylor-Johnson, of course, from Kick-Ass, Outlaw King, and in Avengers Age of Ultron. One of my favourite actors, Ken Watanabe, from The Last Samurai, Inception, and also the Unforgiven remake, which I keep wanting to watch. Bryan Cranston, another great actor from Breaking Bad, of course, but also Power Rangers and Argo. Elizabeth Olsen from the Marvel movies, of course, and WandaVision, where she plays Wanda Maximoff. She was also in the Old Boy remake. Sally Hawkins from the Paddington movies and The Shape of Water. Juliette Binoche from Ghost in the Shell, The English Patient, and lots of other movies. And another of my favourites, David Strathairn from The Expanse, of course, the great show, and LA Confidential and The Bourne Legacy. So huge talent behind the camera, huge talent in front of the camera, a bit like the disaster movies from old, I guess. So with the fourth film in the series, Godzilla vs. Kong, coming out soon, I thought it was high time I got round to watching this film. I don't know why I hadn't watched it before, to be honest. I'd actually read the prequel comic without realising that's what it was at first. I bought that in a sale. I thought, oh, I like Godzilla, I'll read this book, and didn't realise that's what it was. But I really liked that. It told the backstory of Ken Watanabe's character, Dr. Ishiro Serizawa. And I think I went into this film expecting him to be the central person that we followed, along with Godzilla, of course. But this movie actually focuses more on the Brody family. Initially the parents, played by Cranston and Binoche, and then as time moves on with a 15-year kind of time jump, it then starts to focus on their son, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and his wife, played by Elizabeth Olsen. That did take a little bit of time to get used to, of course, having seen them as brother and sister in Avengers Age of Ultron. So the first 30 minutes or so of Godzilla was great. I love the setup, and Edwards really knows how to balance the widescreen awe of a disaster movie with the personal moments you need alongside them. This film is really well shot. There were, however, as time went on, some head-scratching moments where there were scenes that I didn't really quite see the purpose of, or situations that felt quite contrived, to the point that I almost could feel the writing process behind them, which is never a good sign, despite all those amazing writers being involved. And aside from Johnson and Cranston, the excellent cast isn't actually given that much to do. Female characters in particular just seem to be on screen to react to others, and performance of the standing of Watanabe and Hawkins in particular felt wasted to me. They both spend most of their time looking concerned in amongst spouting out lots of exposition, which was disappointing. The biggest drawback for me was trying to know whose film this was and what the actual point of view was for us as the audience. That was the bit that felt most disjointed. It felt muddled, and it kind of shifted from character to character. It felt strongest when Johnson's Ford Brody was running around being heroic, while the scientists and military were back at base. But then I guess that also felt a bit like a one-man army kind of Under Siege type affair. And that would have made it closer to the Meg, I guess, in terms of monster movies. And it must be hard to balance that approach with a giant monster story. The fight scenes between the monsters in this film are excellent, and I love the look of this version of Godzilla. And maybe that's the point. These people are all temporary, but the kaiju are part of the fabric of our planet, and it's their story that the human characters just caught up in. In a disaster movie, we're there with a group of people watching them triumph over adversity. But this is something different, as the threats they face are characters in their own right, and that must be a very hard thing to get right. I was trying to compare it to something like Transformers. I enjoyed the first Transformers movie a lot, but really struggled with the second one, and haven't seen any others since, apart from Bumblebee, which I did enjoy. But the main movies I haven't watched, because... So I wonder if they can get this right. Can they find the balance between the humans and monsters in the films going forward? I like the look of this film, I love the feel of it, and I certainly enjoyed it. And with a slightly more cohesive approach to the plot, and with less coincidences... It could have been something special, particularly with that cast and Edwards' great work on Rogue One. You know, he's a very strong director. Now, it's hard to say too much without spoilers, but one key thing for me that I wish there had been more of an emotional through line. Because what they seem to do is they just lent into situations that should hit you emotionally, and sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't, but they felt very much in service of the story, not driving the story, if that makes sense. It will make more sense to you if you've already seen the film, or if off the back of this you do watch it for the first time. Go into it with an open mind, but there was things in it I just kind of wanted to unpick and rebuild myself. So, but yeah, all things considered, I did enjoy this movie. I'm going to give Godzilla a solid 3 bags of action out of 5. There was a lot in it that I said that I really liked, but a few kind of story niggles stopped me from placing it higher. I'm very interested to see where it goes though, and I will be watching the others to see how they compare. Have you seen Godzilla? Do you agree with my assessment of it, or am I over-analysing a big monster movie? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us. You can do that on email, Facebook or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out weekly alongside our full-length podcast. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to get notifications. We have new episodes coming out each week, including our full-length podcast where we do much more of a deep dive into films. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can of course do that at our Ko-fi page.